So here on Daf Beis Amid Beis, we're listing the Avos HaTuma. We already have on Amid Aleph the Sheretz and Shichva Zora, Utmei Meis, and a person who came in contact with a dead corpse, and the corpse is called an Av HaTuma. And in fact, sometimes the mess is called Avi Avos HaTuma. And we have a discussion about what's called Cherev, Harei Kecholol. In any event, Toldosem Lav Kayotze Behen. In Tuma, when we go down from the Av to the Tolda, we are lowering the level of the Chumras HaTuma. And a Tolda has a different status than the Av HaTuma. And then the Tolda could have a Sheni L'Tum, and a Sheni could have a Shlishi L'Tum. There's even such a thing as a Revi L'Tum as far as Kochim and Truma is concerned. Te'ilu Av Mitami Adam V'Kelim. And this is somewhat rare, but the highest level of Tuma is Mitami even Adam V'Kelim. Vilu Toldos, Ochlin Umashkim Mitami, Adam V'Kelim Ena Mitami. So when you have a tolda of an Av HaTuma, it cannot be Mitame, neither Adam nor Kalim. It can only be Mitame, Ochlin, Umashkin. Then you could have toldos, Ochlin, Umashkin, Mitame, Adam, Kalim, Lo Mitame. That a tolda is only Mitame, Adam, Ochlin, Umashkin, but not Adam v'kelim. Now Rashi quotes psukim here. For example, how do you know that an avatuma is mitame Adam v'kelim? Rashi quotes a pasuk, Kol asher yiga bo atame yitma. And that context is tame mes, which is an avatum, and therefore Kol asher yigabo. We're talking about either an Adam or Kalim, is Yitma, contracts Tuma. But if somebody came in contact with a Tomei Mes, and now he comes in contact with another person, he's not Mitami another person, but he would be Mitami Ochlin Umashkin. Now that we've set up Shabbos as one paradigm of Toldosem Kayotze Behen, Tuma as another paradigm, whereas Toldosem Lav Kayotze Behen, Hachamai, what's the deal with regard to Toldos of Nezikin? Amar Rav Papa, Yesh Mehem Kayotze Behen, Yesh Mehem Lav Kayotze Behen. There is no set absolute rule. And in some cases, the Tolda has the same din as the Av, and in some, it has a different din. So, for example, we mentioned before that the Tolda of Shem would be Tzroros, or the Tolda of Regel would be Tzroros, and Regel and Shem are really two sides of the same coin, and it's Lav Kayotze Behen. The dinim of Chatzi Nezik Tzroros are different than the Av as far as Tashlumin, but in the cases of Bar, for example, you have to know whether the Tolda is Kayotze Behen. For example, the Gemara later on has a Havmina that the Av of Bar has to be 10 Tfachim deep, whereas the Tolda of Bar could be 9 Tfachim. And the Tolda has different dinim than the Av. And so forth and so on. And the Tolda of Eish might be Avno Sakino Maso Shenicha Barosh Kago. He left a stone on the top of his roof. Such a Ruach Mitsuya will blow it down and it will damage. And in each case, we're going to have to analyze, says Rav Papa, whether Kayotze Behen or not Kayotze Behen. Taner Rabban and Gimel Avos Nemru B'Shar. Shar itself really hides 3 different Avos. So when we say there are 4 Avos Nezikin, according to this brisa, there are a lot more than 4 Avos Nezikin. And we're going to see a whole bunch of numbers because it grows exponentially. We might get to 24 different Avos Nezikin. What are the 3 Avos Nezikin that are included in one single word in the Mishnah, namely Shar? and that is Keren, Shein, V'Regel. And now the Gemara has to prove that although the Mishnah didn't differentiate and specify Keren, Shein, V'Regel, the Torah in the Parsha Mishpatim of Nezikin has differentiated between Keren, which is Negicha, Shein, which is Achila, and Regel, which means Urche, as the animal walks. And in each case, we're going to find the source in the Torah. So the Gemara says the following. Keren Minolan. Let's go one by one. Tanur Rabbanon ki yigach a negicha el bekeren. How do you know that the word negicha means that it damaged another animal or a person with its horns? Maybe negicha means it damaged something with its body. What's that called in hockey? I forget. I used to know. That's because I'm not Canadian, so. You know, when you bang someone with your shoulder. All right. So anyway, how do we know Negicha is Keren? Shenemar. Now this is interesting. The Gemara is stretching his arm out to what we call Divrei Kabbalah or Tanakh. And this is Malachim Aleph. Vayaslo Tzidkiyo Ben Knana Karne Barzel Vayomer Ko Omar Hashem V'Ela Tanagaches Aram. So in this nevuah of Tzidkiyo, Hashem gives a mashal, like a vision of Karne Barzel. And what are these? What's the purpose of the Karne Barzel? The pasuk says, "V'Ela Tanagach es Aram." So Aram is one of the enemies of the Jewish people, and we're going to fight against Aram with what's called Karne Barzel and implement a negicha. So the word negicha in this pasuk is a reference to the Keren. V'Omer, and now we quote a pasuk in Devarim, B'chor Shoro Hodo Lo V'Karni Re'em Karno B'Hem Abimiganagach. And if I'm not mistaken, this is a reference to Yosef. I have to check that out. In any event, it says Shor, and it says Keren, and B'Hem Yinagach. So we see the Shor with its Keren is capable of a Negicha. So that's what it means, a Negicha Ela B'Keren. So in the Parsha of Nezikin, the Torah talks about Kigach Shor Es Ish Re'eu and so forth. So it means with a Keren. Ma'vi Omer, why weren't you satisfied with the pasuk from Malachim Aleph? If you'll tell me Divrei Torah, Divrei Kabbalah Yalfinon, maybe you're not happy with the derivation from Divrei Kabbalah, meaning from Nevi'im. I would rather know what exactly is a Negicha from the Torah itself. Is Tashma, I'll tell you, B'char Shora Hadolo. Frank the Gemara, V'hai Melefu? You're telling me that we don't have a Alfusa from Nach if we can finally eke out a Alfusa from the Torah is much superior. Well, we're not talking about a Alfusa here. We're not deriving dinim. Gili Milsa V'Almahu. We're only trying to define a term. The Torah in Parshas Mishpatim uses a very ambiguous term of Negicha, and we don't know what Negicha means. And therefore, we're going to look in the Tanakh, and wherever we find in Tanakh a meaning for the word Negicha, that's fine. That's called Gili Milsa B'Alma. Definition or lexicon we could derive from Divrei Kabbalah. To Negicha B'Kerenu. Hello. So now the Gemara has to come up with another explanation as to why the Brisa is not satisfied with the drasha and the limud from Malachim Aleph and needs the pasuk in Dvarim B'char Shoro Hadolo. Ma'u the Tema, I would have thought Ki polig machmana bein tam lebud hanimili betlusha aval b'mechuberes ema kula muedesi. Perhaps when the pasuk referring to Tzidkiah Hamelech speaks about Karnei Barzel are something that the shor takes in its mouth. It's not part of the animal. It's not mechubar to the animal like a keren. And maybe the implication of Karnei Barzel is that since it's mechubar, then in this case of an artificial keren, so to speak, it's not the natural keren that's attached to the body of the animal. Maybe the whole distinction that the Torah makes between a shor tam, mitmol shilshom, that pays nezek sholem, whereas it nezek in the first three negichas and only pays chatzi nezek, it's a shor muad. Maybe that distinction doesn't apply. Tashma, therefore I quote the pasuk, bechar shora hadolo, and bechar shora hadolo is going to teach me that we always differentiate between a shor tam and a shor muad. Now, I was just curious if Rashi, by any chance, adds anything here. 1 second. Yeah. In the pasuk, in Dvarim, it says, Karni Re'em. Do you see that? Karni Re'em. So Rashi, Dibra Maskal Toshma, says the following: Karni Re'em ksiv be'negicha, alma mechuberes nami kari negicha. So we're not going to say that there's no difference between shor tam and shor muad in the case of the natural keren, because here it says karni re'em and it's referring to negicha. In the same pasuk it says negicha b'hem amim yinagah. So therefore, stam negicha, when we go back to the parasha, the Torah itself differentiates between tam and muad, and it's referring even to mechuberes, as we see in the pasuk in Dvarim Lamed Gimel. So where are we up to now? Toshma, told us the Keren Mai. Give me a list of various toldos of Keren. So the Av is with the Keren itself, and the told is Negifa, Neshicha, Revitza, Ubeita. Negifa means a check, with its body, and Neshicha means it bites with its mouth. These are all aggressive acts. Revitza means as it's laying on its back, it kicks up, and Beita means as it's standing on all fours, it kicks its feet and damages something by kicking it. Maishna Negicha de Korle Av Tichsiv Kiigach. So the pasuk says Kiigach, and therefore Negicha is called an Av. Negifa Namiksiv. Why do you classify Negifa as a tolda when in Mishpatim the Torah speaks about Kiigov, and that's Negifa, which means the animal moves its body to damage. So the Gemara says that the word Kiigov in the parasha in Mishpatim doesn't really mean literally Negifa, but Hai Negifa Negicha. How do I know that the word Kiigov is referring to a Negicha? The Sanya will learn in the Brisa Pasach Negifa v'Siyeh Negicha. The Torah opens up by saying Kiigov, and then it says Kiigach Lo Melacha Zui Negifa Zui Negicha. Fine. So now the Gemara asks, Ma'ishna Gabi Adam, if the man is the victim of the attack of the animal, the Chsiv Kiigach, who Ma'ishna Gabi Behema, if the animal is the victim of the attack of the Shora Mazik, it's Kiigov. Adam Disley Mazla Chsiv Kiigach. So Negicha is a much more aggressive and dangerous action. And in order for the animal to damage a human being that has mazel, he has intelligence, the animal has to muster up all of its energy through a negicha. But behema, But if the shar is attacking another animal, to Leslie Mazlo, the animal doesn't have intelligence to defend itself. Ksiv ki igof. And why is this important to us? That when an animal is attacking another animal, it doesn't need an agicha with such aggressive force. Even an agifa would be enough. If an animal attacks three different people or the same person on three different occasions, it becomes a mu'ad. And once it's a mu'ad to attack Adam, and it musters all of that power of an agicha, then you know it's mu'ad for behema, which requires a lesser kind of aggressive act. But in the flip side, even if the animal has on three occasions attacked another animal, we don't know that it's mu'ad to attack a human being, which takes a lot more force to overcome a human being that has intelligence. Frek the Gemara, why is Neshicha biting on this list of toldas of Keren, tolda d'sheni? Why not consider it a tolda of Shein? Because Neshicha is done with the teeth of the animal. And the Gemara says, lo, that's a false assumption. Why? Because Shein, Yesh Hanol Ezeka, the nature conceptually of the Av called Shein is that it's fundamentally an act which the animal benefits from. But in the case of the Shicha, the animal just bites out of aggression, out of anger. Ein Hanol Ezeka. Frekta Gemara, Revitza Ubeita Tolda the Keren the Regelhu. Why do you consider Revitza and Beita when the animal kicks with his feet a tolda of Keren? It should be considered a tolda of Regel, using its feet. And the Gemara answers, lo, Regel as Zekamatsu. In the case of Regel, it's a natural action of the animal as it walks, and it steps on things and may destroy them in its way. But Hani, in the cases of Revitza and Beita, Ein Hezekon Matsu. It is a case where it's unusual to expect an animal to start using his feet not to walk in Urchen, its natural pattern, but rather to attack and to destroy. Ella, Frekta Gemara told the same Lav Kayotzaman Diyom Rav Papa Hey. Rav Papa indicated that in some cases the tolda of an Av Nezek is not equal to the Av itself. When? Ahei, in what case? Ilema Hani, if you're going to talk about the toldas of Keren, what's the difference between the Av and the tolda? They're all the same. In both cases, we're talking about an aggressive act of the animal. That's called Kavanos Lahazik. And you own the animal. And therefore, you're obligated to supervise the animal and guarantee that the animal does no damages. That applies to the tolda just as it does to the Av. So whether or not it's Negicha, or Neshicha, or Revitza, or Beita, in all these cases, the animal is lunging and aggressively attacking. And it's your animal, you should be giving it shmir. So what would be a case, according to Rav Papa, told the same Lav Kayotzaben? Ella told us the Keren ki Keren. B'chi Kamma Rav Papa. What was Rav Papa referring to? Shein v'regel. Shein v'regel hechi ksive. Let's see if we can find and identify the avos and the toldos of Shein v'regel. Dichsiv, the Tanya, we learned to the Brisa, and the pasuk is v'shilach zeh regel. How do we know that when the Torah used the word v'shilach in Shmos Perek of Beis, it means regel? And for this, we stretch out our arm to Yeshaya Lamed Beis, Keminyan Lev, Meshalche regel hashar v'chamor. So you see that the word l'shaleach is with reference to regel. Ubir, where is Shein in the Torah? Zu Shein, the word Ubir. How do I know that the word Ubir refers to Shein? V'cheinu Omer, Kasha Yevair, Hagolol. Here on top of Gimel and Aleph, Ad Tuma. And this is a pasuk in Malachim Aleph. Am I correct? And it says ubir, and we're talking about eating. As Rashi points out here on the top of Daf Gimel, Hainu Shein Shepa'amim Megula Pa'am Mechusa. So when it says that he sort of exposes it and reveals it, it's referring to Shein, which sometimes is covered by the lips of the animal and sometimes is exposed. In any event, the Gemara is going to go on here on Daf Gimel Amud Aleph to prove that the toldos of Shein V'Regel are equivalent to the Av. And there doesn't seem to be any scenario in which a papa would say Toldosayim Lav Kayotzuben until finally, after a long discussion in the Gemara comes up with Chatzi Nezek Tzroros, where the animal, instead of using its regel to pounce on something and destroy it by walking on it, the animal shoots off pebbles and the pebbles damage. And that's going to be Halacha L'Moshe Misinai of Chatzi Nezek Tzroros, which is told L'Seyem Lav Kayotzebem, because the Av itself generates a Chiyuv Nezek Shor. Okay then? So this is where we'll stop for today. And we made a little bit of a Haschola into Nezikin.